What's up, everybody? This is the Rabbit Hedgehog, and I just want to remind you that from now until the end of October of 2019, we are working on doing a Teespring campaign to raise funds for our Project Valeria and also some new equipment for the channel, and also to donate 50% of that $6,000. Our goal is to both All Paws Rescue and Rabbit Rescue of Oklahoma City. So that means $1,500 for each of those organizations to help them keep animals out of shelters and alive. Both of these are no-kill. They work with these animals and help them through foster care, teach them to do litter training and stuff like that, depending on the animal they are. They do everything to make sure they're ready for your home. So to help these folks out, help us out, and that way we can get our stuff done, get better content out there for you. Right here, I'm going to post where we currently are as of today, and that way you can see our progress. So thank you for all those that have donated. Don't forget that for every $500 more that we get, then you guys will win as well. So at the 6,500 mark, don't forget that you guys could win a GoPro Hero 7 or 8 Black, whichever one is out at the time of the end. You just have to like Facebook, purchase the product, and let us know that we're in that way, or you're in by doing a comment or something, and that way we can choose you guys. So remember, go to the Facebook page, like us, tell us you're in, and that way we can make sure that you're in there for the random thing. You must be a U.S. citizen. At any rate, enjoy this next video.
What's up, everybody? This is the Rabbit Hedgehog, and now I am on the newest Sportster I've never gotten to ride before, which is the Iron 1200. So this is going off of the old Iron 883 idea. Blacked out gators, same front wheels, same 3.3 gallon fuel tank. Only this bike adds this lovely little cowling up front and these kind of miniature 8 bars. Now this is the good old 1200 Sportsters of old. So let's take it for a ride, see what we think of it. Just like every other Sportster in the world, of course, we have our standard Harley controls. Right side, kill switch, hazard up top, start on the bottom with the turn signal absolutely on bottom. Self-canceling on all these. You do have your bright, you push in to flash, up for hold. And of course you got your information over here where you can go tack, is right. Let me get to the tack there. Gear and tack indication on 1. So you'll see that pop up in a moment. Gear will show up on the left side. 5 on this one. There's a regular odometer, 2 trips, and a clock. And then basically that's all you got. Not much on this motorcycle. This is as bare bones as it gets. When it comes to the Harley-Davidson line, this is your base model besides the street. Left to right turn signals, bright, oil warning, neutral, and up here you have fuel, you have battery, you have engine service, and ABS with a cruise control indication of some sort for some reason on this one, but it's probably just one of those standard gauges that people use for everything anyway. All right. Ah, Sportster. Back on the old girl again. This one, of course, being that it's got the taller bars and everything. Oh, that suspension's back. That horrifying suspension that I remember. Oh, it's so short. Bounces nicely. All right. Dodge this pothole here. Oh. This is about the worst road you can ride on, it feels like, all the time. Anyway, so let's get back over here to our tachometer here. We're in 4th gear right now, I know that much. Now we're at 2,200 RPMs, going about 40 miles an hour, which is your city speed. Of course, this is the 1200 engine. Sitting on this machine, you are actually sitting kind of back. It's kind of interesting. It's got that old 70s chopper vibe where you're kind of sitting back and kind of a little bit backwards, and your feet come out kind of high, because these bikes do have the taller mid mounts. So you come out, and I do go slightly back to my leg rests, and of course I don't like the air cleaner right here on my leg, but that's fine. I mean, it's there. It's because the tank ain't that wide, so there's more air cleaner than you got tank there. So kick her up to fifth there. All right, fifth gear, 50 miles an hour, 2,500 RPMs. This is motorcycling once more. Sometimes you gotta ride something like this to remind you that sometimes if you're gonna be one with the machine, everything's gonna be one with the machine. Your backbone is gonna compress with the suspension. Your kidneys are gonna get punched just like they deserve. It is just a fantastic, normal ride on a good old classic Sportster. And I do not mind Sportsters. I wish they would update them. I hope they keep them whenever they go to the new platform. You know, better engine, better suspension, better chassis, all that good stuff. But this bike rides as good as it can. Now, I do have to say this is way more comfortable than the Iron 883 that I started out with. My personal first motorcycle was a 883 Iron Sportster. And of course that's got more of a drag bar. It's a low bar. You sit a little bit more aggressively on it. And this one's more like the original 72. Now the 72 Sportster was a little bit more chopped out, had a big spoke front end on it. And this one kind of has the cast aluminum on it like the original Iron that we remember and love. But the bars are very similar to the 72. It rides like that as well. So, I mean, the Sportster chassis is a very flickable machine. It is a very compliant machine, but it gets dodgy too because the suspension doesn't hold this bike in a turn. Neither does the traction. You don't get much lean angle and much bite into this machine. But that's not what it's about. This is one of those bikes that you literally go bare knuckle brawling, enjoying a fun street ride just in the city, going around things. Of course, 3.3 gallons isn't going to get you very far. Some of these Sportsters can get 54 miles per gallon. That's usually the 883 configuration, so you get decent mileage on it. 1200s are usually in the 40s somewhere for mixed riding like this. Some can get into the 50s, but very rarely. So you're going to get, you know, not so much out of a 3.3 gallon tank. Before the light turns on, in my experience of owning these things, light would usually get on around 110 miles and maybe 130 maximum before the light came on. 150 is getting to be a little bit worrisome there. Now the 1200 is the engine of all character that we've all come to expect and love. It's got enough torque. I mean, it's in the 70s. 71 foot-pound of torque is quite a bit. It's nothing to sneeze at. There's not much horsepower here to talk about. We're going to be in the 60s, but it makes all of it low. I've always loved the 1200 engine. I've always loved the Sportster. I don't know. Maybe it's because it was my first bike is why I have a big heart for it. But it rides pretty decently. Like I said, the seat is by far more comfortable and the riding position is by far more comfortable. I kind of like these bars bringing this back. In terms of general posture, you can see you can't really hug against the tank. So if you're a brand new rider that needs that, you're not going to get it due to the air cooler on the right, and you're not going to get it on the left side without being very awkward feeling. Somewhat like a Rebel, but the Rebel you could tuck in both legs. So, there's that engine braking. Good as it always has been. All the time. Still not using that real brake. Just getting her down in speed. We're already in first gear. These brakes, now these are brakes that work to me. I like the way the Sportster's braking works. It does very good at bringing it down both front and rear braking. This one is actually equipped with ABS, so. Anyway, you can't get your legs quite there, so you sit straight up and down. The way that these bars come out and back My arms are straight down and straight to them, fist in the wind, cruiser configuration, but your back is slightly arched backwards. It is kind of an interesting position. Like I said, it feels like a classic chop in a way. That riding position where you're more backed up from the bike, and I don't mind it. Very comfortable. I wish that there wasn't a hard part right there on my shin, and that's about the only thing I'll complain about. It's also a hot part too. It does get a little warm down here. Of course, this is the old air-cooled Evo engine that we've come to love since '86. So it does get very warm on these rides. It is 97 degrees today here, folks, in Oklahoma. So it is not a cool day. Oh, yeah, that suspension will kick you. I actually will say this about this bike. It has better suspension to me than the Indian Scout Bobber. Because the Bobber only has that little 2-inch suspension travel. So it's very jittery and punches much harder than this one. This one has around 3 inches of suspension travel, and that helps out just a bit. It's more in line with the regular Scout that we've all come to love as well. It's nowhere near as powerful, that is for sure. This jacket's wearing out. As you can see, the Velcro is starting to come apart there. But yeah, this is nowhere near as fast as the Scout. The Scout, being powered by 1130cc liquid cool, allows it to have more horsepower. We're talking 100 horsepower and over 80 some foot-pound of torque. So we got 10 more foot-pounds of torque, and we've got 40 more horsepower almost immediately. Revs higher, and the bike weighs the same. The suspension geometry is better on it as well versus this one, but the cost, I mean, you got to get a Scout 60 to get to the price of this, but the Scout 60 to me is a better value than this motorcycle when it comes to that, because you can get ABS and everything equipped with it, and it has a 1000cc liquid cool engine, or 999, and it is 5-speed just like this one, but it's more potent. It's a more fun engine to play around with than this one. It still has a little bit more power than this one, but like I said, benefits from liquid cooling. This is a bike that literally brings you back to how motorcycles were. I mean, this bike is relatively unchanged since 1957. It's only had 2 different engines, the Ironhead and the Evo. It's only had 2 different fueling systems, carbureted and fuel injection. It went from, carbureted all the way up until 06, 07. They changed it finally. They went rubber mounted, in 04. I mean, they've barely changed these things at all in all those years. 60 plus years of Sportster. And I mean, it is a great riding machine, don't get me wrong. It's one of those just all-time classic motorcycles that brings Harley-Davidson to a lot of people. And the thing is, it's a good built motorcycle for its price. Yes, it is a little costly, but I can kind of vouch for owning one and saying it's not a bad thing. But I did get a decent deal on mine, and a lot of times you can get a decent deal on Sportsters. Sportsters don't move as fast as a lot of other bikes. People, when they wanted Harley, they go up to Softail, Dyna, they go to those big twins. But the Sportster, don't ignore them. They're a great machine, and you could take these out on a longer ride. There's some different variants that work as well. But this one here, being that it's just much more comfortable than the original 883, yeah, the suspension's going to rock you a little bit, and the tank isn't going to get you very far, but it rides very well. It's a very competent machine. The turning is great. Like I said, it's still a flickable chassis. You don't have much lean angle left and right, but that's the thing. This is just a boulevard cruiser. Good for a kind of a Sunday drive, kind of like what we're doing right now. Great to get out on the highway. These do get on the highway just fine. They vibrate, but you know what? It reminds you of good days of yesterday if you're one of those people. So if you're looking at getting down from those big, heavy motorcycles, and you're looking around price ranges like this for Scouts and all that, don't hesitate to look at the Sportster, because it might be your flavor. The Scouts are smoother, they're modern. Yeah, they turn better. There's a lot of good things about the Scout, but sometimes there's great things about these older motorcycles like this. I'm really enjoying this bike. It brings me back. It really does. Makes me remember my good old first days as a motorcyclist. The bad suspension and all that, thinking it was the best thing in the world, because it's the only thing I had. It's the only thing I had at that time. And now this is back to being, just back to being a youngster again. Drag that pig out. That's funny. One little turn. At any rate, this is the Rabbit Hedgehog, and if you guys like the RN1200 and you have any questions about it, please let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to help you find out more information about these things. Like I said, they're great motorcycles. They're fun to ride, great around town. It's just one of those bikes that takes you back. I mean, yeah, I would like a lot of bikes above this one, but this one still hits a soft spot in me because dadgummit, I used to own one of these as my first bike. So at any rate, keep that shiny stuff up, folks, and catch you on the next ride.